So, yeah, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. And just in answer to Katie's question, what tools can we use to become more aware of our state? That's what you're saying, Katie. More aware of our mental and emotional state. And an absolutely primary one is meditation. So the more you meditate, the more you go within, the more you start becoming aware of those thoughts and emotions. And in terms of biofeedback, the old-fashioned way of doing it is just observe the breath and observe the sensations in the body. So you just get into the habit of observing. Okay, so what's going on in my thoughts, in my feelings, sensations, because that observes emotions. And then you have a very good clue as to what's going on in your mind in thoughts and emotions. So this was the methodology of the Vipassana technique that the Buddha taught. So just observe sensation, because he understood that if you observe, well, start with breath, and then move to body sensations. And when you move to body sensations, you start observing the fluctuations in the body, whatever that is. Heat, pressure, tension, prickling, tingling, itching, and you just get into the habit of being able to observe that. And then through that observation, notice, I've got this sensation going on, and that corresponds with what I would call stress. So I've got butterflies in my stomach. I'm feeling a bit short of breath. I notice my breathing's got a bit shallower. I notice that my body's kind of tensed up because I'm in the habit of observing, and that tells me, okay, so now stress is arising. So you don't actually need a machine to do it. You just need to start observing with your mind what's happening in the body, and that's training. You just need to train yourself in that methodology, and if you can do that, it's very helpful, because you notice immediately once you've done enough Vipassana that I'm now there's a change in the body. I'm aware that something's changed. I'm feeling this way. Okay, so that's a sign. That's the first sign of stress. So now you can catch it. You go, okay, so what's going on? Why am I feeling that way? Okay, well, let me look at my thoughts. And so the two go hand in glove. This idea of observing emotion through sensation of the body is very useful. And then observing thought through these mind training exercises that Jesus is giving us in A Course in Miracles is also really helpful, because it's primarily thought that he's asking us to observe. He talks about emotion and emotional states, but he doesn't talk about, okay, well, observe body sensation. That's not the methodology. It's more about just observing thought. So now you've got two very powerful methodologies working together. Observing sensation, which gets you to observe emotion, and observing thought. You observe your mind and observe thought through these mind training exercises. And then I think you've got both bases covered. And you've got two masters guiding you, right? You've got the Buddha and Jesus. I mean, what do you want? Do you want more? These are two of the greatest spiritual masters who've ever lived, who are guiding you. And there's no contradiction. It's just different ways to become observant of the ego. And then as you observe it and you become aware of it, the second phase is to let go, because that's what all letting go is, a two-phase process. I need to be aware first of the thoughts and emotions that are not serving me, that are egoic. Because if I'm not aware, how can I let them go? The ego thrives on unawareness. It wants to keep you mindless and not aware that actually you are a mind, you have awareness, and so you can choose to let it go, because awareness gives you choice, doesn't it? You now have the choice with awareness. No, actually, that's not serving me. I can choose to let that thought go, to let that emotion go. I'm not I'm not a slave to the body either. The body's not running me. The mind is in control. See, too many times we go, oh, well, I'm just feeling that way. And that's just the way I'm feeling. I have a craving. I have a desire. I have the body's this. And we give the body some kind of independent reality. My body's doing this to me. My body is basically running the mind, which is where the ego wants you to be. So now you're at the effect rather than the cause. And this process of observation and awareness is critical because it reverses that. It's saying, no, actually, the mind is primary. Because when you come into awareness, that I'm a mind. My mind is aware of my body's sensations. The body cannot be aware of the mind, if you think about it. So therefore, the mind must be primary. And that's what all these exercises are designed to help you to recognize. My mind is primary. My mind is the truth. My mind is the awareness. And my mind can be aware of my body. So therefore, my mind is primary and my body must be secondary. My body is a projection of the mind. So my mind is causative. Body is secondary. I'm not at the effect of my body, because the ego's turned that around and said, no, actually, you're at the effect of your body. Look, your body's sore. Your body's got this problem. Your body's sick, do this to sort out the body. It tells us this all the time, instead of, telling us, no, look into your mind. This is the problem. The mind is the problem, and the body is the effect of the problem. So if your body has got various symptoms and you're observing these sensations showing up, then you observe, okay, but this is actually in my mind. And now it's just being manifested in the body. And that is true. It's a statement of truth. Because the body is completely connected to the mind. And if you do start thinking negative thoughts and then feeling the emotions and the sensations in the body come as a result, and you notice that just thoughts can change your state profoundly. You got to just catch them. The other day I was thinking about my brother, and I just in 30 seconds I could feel suddenly this whole thing juicing up. I was getting and I was like, whoa, just stop there, stop, just observe what's going on. Just a thought can take you into a whole emotional state and get your body all G'd up for a fight or flight response mode. And that's just thought. There's nothing happening physically. He's not here, but just the thought about someone can do that. So this is what we need to be aware of. Very aware of thoughts, very aware of emotions, so that we can catch it, because the ego is very cunning and it wants to come in and wants to use our thoughts and our emotions. And so these are the tools: awareness of thoughts, awareness of sensations. So I hope that kind of gives you some answer to your question. And in the meditation, we'll do some breath awareness. So that's the start. In the Vipassana, breath awareness was the start, and then it moved into body awareness. So we'll do some body awareness as well, like body scanning, just becoming aware of the sensations in my body without judging them. Whatever it is, you just scan through it and you observe, okay, there's a sensation there of whatever it is, prickling, tingling, itching, whatever. And as you do that, you start to tune in to this awareness. And if you practice it enough, it becomes your default awareness. So I'll tell a story from my Vipassana experience, the retreat. At the end of the 10 days, I was chatting to the guy who's a youngish guy in his 20s, who was kind of the facilitator. He was living there permanently, and he was doing Vipassana all the time, obviously, because if you're living there, that's what happens. You do 3 group sittings, and he says, I'm here because I want to do more Vipassana myself. And then he's doing the service. It's a voluntary organization. And he said he had this experience with his father, who was quite angry with him, and he was standing there, and he was kind of attacking him verbally. And he said he just was able to sit and observe his emotion, observe his sensation, observe breath, observe sensation, and he observed there's all these fluttery sensations. There's his stomach's going thing. He's feeling heat, and he just sat there while his father's having a go at him and observed. And he said it was really interesting because I didn't react. See, he said before I'd done Vipassana, I would have gone into a very contracted, fearful state, fight or flight response mode, and I would have got all fearful. And that probably I might have said something or done something, and that would have fueled the pattern of my father. But he said just because I sat there and I was able to just look at him in this very clear, calm way, I'm not reacting. He said it started his energy started to dissipate. It came down, and he got calmer. And after a few minutes, he stopped, and then they were actually able to have a reasonable conversation without all of that charge, just because he didn't react. He just sat and he just looked at him, and he was just observing emotion and sensation while he did it. So that's a great example of in the heat of the moment. Literally, he was feeling that heat. He was feeling all of those emotions kicking off. But because he practiced Vipassana so much, he was able to just observe it and say, okay, I'm just observing equanimously. I'm not reacting here, which is exactly the same as forgiveness. He's letting go of those emotions and sensations and thoughts and not reacting to them, and just kind of allowing them to, yes, okay, I'm aware of them, but I'm not reacting to them. These are not me. See, there was an awareness there that he cultivated through the Vipassana meditation. He was able to observe and just be the observer in that situation and not react, which is very, very powerful if you can do that in a difficult situation. Train your mind to do that. It's very, very helpful. So the more you do these kinds of practices, the more you are training yourself to have that awareness in the heat of the moment. In life, things happen, and then you go, okay, but just don't react, just observe emotion, observe sensation. You start with breath, you observe sensation, and through sensation, you can observe emotion. And you can also start observing thoughts because you quieten your mind. Emotions are very interpolating. Emotions are really where the ego gets us, aren't they? Because it's like, oh, the emotions come in and forget any kind of rational thought. I'm just consumed by that emotion. So it's a fantastic tool to just bring awareness. And then in that awareness, you can now start to practice awareness of thoughts as well.
I had already some great experiences with watching thoughts and also watching sensations. And also watching emotions. Like one with sensation was I burned my finger, and of course the Mukha student told me to look at it without any judgment, and then ask Holy Spirit, what is this for? And then it didn't hurt anymore, and I just had the same experience some days ago, and I burned myself, and then I instantly thought, okay, no, I want to feel in it without judgment, and we letting go of the judgment over and over again. And then I didn't, first, like I felt some seconds some pain, and then it was like gone, all of it. That, wow, this is amazing. And then my ego is tricky, like, because some days later I had some problems with my eyes, and I was doing the same thing, but it was starting to come back, and at first I was like, now I need to be upset. And then another Costa Rica student remembered me, when things are coming back, they come back because you have to make the choice over and over again, because it seems like you make the choice to believe into eye problems more often than you believe maybe in having a burn. Could be. So you have to, this in the same degree you made the choice, it seems like the choice to have problems with my eyes was heavier than to suffer from a burn. It seems like I made that to a special story to me. And that was helpful to me, instead of resisting, like, oh, when it's so fast, when I can let go so fast of the burn, then I need the same result with the eyes. It was like that. And
yeah, so we have these different aspects, and then we make exceptions. And this is what Jesus is trying to get us not to do. don't make exceptions. It's all the same. It's a
Yeah.
burn on your finger, or an eye problem, or whatever the physical condition is. He's trying to get us to see that it's all the same. There's no order of difficulty in miracles, because there's no hierarchy of illusions. One is not harder or more difficult than another. I mean, that's a direct quote from section 1 of chapter 1. So it's
Yeah.
just being able to look at that and say, okay, the eyes, I'm making the order of difficulty here. My eyes seem to be more difficult than my finger in my mind. Okay, well, that's a belief. It's based on a belief system, isn't it? So let me look at that, observe it, and recognize, the truth that actually it's all the same. If it's all an illusion, it's all just a projection of the mind, that there is no order of difficulty in miracles. There's no order of difficulty in miracles, because it's all the same. It's all on the same level of illusion, which is a projection of the mind. Ah, that's Sue. Fantastic. I'm very pleased they're joining us. So yeah, doing a lot of this breath work and meditation will help you to have more awareness. Sue and John, hello, welcome.
Hi.
How are you?
Good,
Welcome back.
thanks. Yeah, good.
Welcome back.
Good to see you
Been
all.
for a few days. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just having a little chat about we've just done our check-in. So Katie, you done with that?
Yes, I want to add that it seems like mindfulness in any mindfulness practice is helpful. Like Vipassana is one. Is that right when I say that they're doing A Course in Miracles and mindfulness practice? Like I like Thich Nhat Hanh, and he's also written some book about mindful movement, and I'm sometimes doing Qigong because as a mindful movement, because when I'm doing like Vipassana, sometimes I fall asleep. I'll get unconscious, like zoned out, and it's harder for me to fall asleep when I'm standing and doing movements. And it never happened.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mindfulness is really just these practices, and it's the modern term for it. Mindfulness is actually Buddhist teaching, and they've just put a different label on it and said it's now called mindfulness. It's just breath awareness. Well, that's just anapana. That's been going for 2,500 years since the Buddha taught it. Breath awareness and then body awareness, moving from breath awareness into body awareness. So it's the same thing. It's just a different label, and it's become very popular around the world because they relabeled it, and that's fine. Just don't call it anapana or vipassana. Call it mindfulness, and 6 of one, half a dozen of another. If you call it mindfulness, people will be open to it. If you call it anapana, then people might go, "Oh, that's some weird Buddhist theory, and I'm not a Buddhist, so no, I'm not. I'm not interested." But it's the same thing. It's the same practice, and that's really what it comes down to. It's a practice. The things that are effective, the teachings that are effective, are not just dogma. It's not just conceptual theory. It's practice that will get it for you. That gets you into the state, the states of mind that we call spiritual, that help you to forgive. And so there's an emphasis on practice in the Vipassana. I mean, that's what it is. It's a practice. It's not theory. You just practice and you go through your own experience. And then we have this practice in A Course in Miracles, which is the workbook, where he's saying, right, practice every day. I'm going to give you practice to practice these ideas in certain ways. They're really little meditations, they're little mindfulness practices that he's giving you as the tool of his course to help you to undo this ego. Because he's saying just the theory in the text is not going to do it for you. I know that. It's just theoretical foundation is necessary, as he says, but the practice is, the application is required. So that'll lead us nicely into the workbook. Just let's ask Sue and John. Sue, John, anything to share? I haven't heard from you for a while, so.
Well, it's good to see you again.
Hmm.
I've been kind of missing the sessions. I think I noticed the difference when I've not been. Um,
Yeah, well, that's helpful.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
maybe
I
you
think
not notice them.
I think for me, it's getting this right balance between, we did the course a few months ago, and it it kind of feels a bit soon to be doing it again. And yeah, when I don't do it, I kind of miss it. So
Mhm.
Yeah, well, the thing is that each course, there's no course that's duplicated, really. I mean, there's similar content, but each session is different, different people, different things come up. So, I'd encourage you. And now we're moving very much into A Course in Miracles. The first week is a bit of foundational stuff. We're moving into, during the day, we're going to do the workbook. And in the evening, we're going to do the text as the kind of core things of the session. So, if you want to practice the course, then join us for the sessions because they're happening. And yeah, as I said, it's every course is different because just different things come up, different people, different, and it's all the same stuff, but you get different perspectives of it, which I think is good. It's not just a standard cookie cutter. Oh, there's the YouTube video. That's it. Every course is the same. It's not. So yeah, I'd encourage you to just join as much as you can, because there's and looking at the stuff again, you realize just how profound it is. I mean, you're like, okay, nothing I see means anything. Today's lesson is a very simple idea. Do I really get that? Do I really understand that? Or have I actually just scratched have I sort of scratched the surface of that? I'm kind of level one. Okay, well, maybe if I look at it again, I do the exercise again, that's like another level of understanding will come. And that's what I found, just doing this workbook over and over again. It's like, okay, thought I got it, but now there's a different experience this time I do it. I have another, and that's the beauty of this practice. You can do the same lesson. You read it, and you read it 6 months ago, and you read it again now, and you'll have a different experience with it. And so that's fresh and that's new, and it's used by the Holy Spirit to help you. So why not expose yourself to that? Put yourself. Here's what I'd say: you put yourself in the field of transformation, which is what this is. And when you do that, then the Holy Spirit's going to go, great, I can use that for your awakening, and whatever you need to get and whatever you need to hear through this process is more likely to happen if you're in it than if you're not in it. If you're just doing your own thing, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing because there's two of you, so you can do that. But in a group, if you've got 4 or 5 people, you just never know what's going to come. Someone might just say something, you go, wow, that was just really resonated, that struck a chord, that was an insight that's just like, yeah, okay, and you just never know when that could happen, when a comment that comes along that absolutely rocks your world and helps you to really get something could happen. You just don't know, because the nature of live sessions is you don't know. And I think the group dynamic, the Holy Spirit uses that really well, because what you need to get, you can get through someone else, and then it will tell them to say, it will encourage them to say that, so that you can get it. So that's kind of the dynamics that are going on. And I just surrender to the process. Remember, you're not in charge. The Holy Spirit's in charge. So when you start taking charge of the journey, then you have problems, because it's like, oh, but like I'm trying to apply my wisdom and my discernment to this, and actually I don't know how to get home. That's the whole point. The ego will keep me trapped here. It's going to do everything possible to keep you in the illusion. So that's what it does. So you got to really watch this, watch the mind very carefully, and be very honest and say, okay, so what's actually going on here? Is this spirit? Is this ego? I'm having these thoughts. It seems reasonable. Is it really reasonable? Do I really know that that's true? I mean, if you apply the work from Byron Katie, can I really say that that's true? And then a second time, can I absolutely know that that is true? And if you're really honest, you probably say, no, I don't really know that's true, to be honest. It's an opinion, it's a judgment. Can I really know that it's true that I should, it's best for me to not do the session? Well, can I really know that? Or am I just making a judgment from another place in my mind, which then is a resistance? You see, so it's observing that resistance, saying, oh, okay, actually, maybe there's a bit of resistance there. And I'm honest about that. And okay, I see it. And once you see it, it stops having the power to determine your behavior because you're aware of it. Okay, well, so I'm aware of resistance. I'm not denying it. Okay, well, so what now? Maybe I could just drop that feeling, do a bit of forgiveness or letting go, and then that feeling's gone, and then whatever the behavior was just changes because you changed the thoughts and the emotion behind it. Which is exactly what we're practicing in these sessions. So every time you do a meditation and so on, you're getting a chance to practice that experientially. So those are my thoughts on that, and I'm most happy to have a chat afterwards if you want to as well.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So anything else to share? Anyone else? Let's go into some having a little look at today's quote because it kind of leads us nicely into the lesson. So practices we're going to do. We're going to do the lesson for the day. We'll do a meditation. We'll do check-in to start with while people are arriving, then meditation, reading the lesson, then a meditation on the lesson, and then anything else. So if you want to go, then you can. I want to do the fifth pathway today, which will come at the end of the session. But we're going to do the lesson first, just so that if anyone does need to go, we get that in the first hour. Okay. So if you can read that, John, for us, do you need to be expanded a bit? Let me just zoom in.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
The world we see merely reflects our own internal frame of reference, the dominant ideas, wishes, and emotions in our minds. Projection makes perception. We look inside first, decide the kind of world we want to see, and then project that world outside, making it the truth as we see it. We make it true by our interpretations of what it is we are seeing. If we are using perception to justify our own mistakes, our anger, our impulses to attack, our lack of love in whatever form it may take, we will see a world of evil, destruction, malice, envy, and despair. All this we must learn to forgive, not because we are being good and charitable, but because what we are seeing is not true.
So any thoughts on that? That's from the preface, what it says, which we covered just before we did the course in that session at Patricia's house, actually. But it's worth, in this context, we're talking about lesson 1. It's worth looking at again for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a good one for lesson 1. It's a good reminder. It fills out the purpose for lesson 1, I think.
Any other thoughts on it? Projection makes perception. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we are interpreting. The way this works is we're interpreting. We project from one level of our mind, and then we perceive on another, and we think that that's reality. That projection perception mechanism, and the one feeds into the other, is now our reality. And we're caught in a self-perpetuating feedback loop. Right. So Patricia, you were saying at the beginning, well, this cloud is in my mind. It is actually. Quantum mechanics is saying this isn't outside of you. There's no reality in the absence of observation. The cloud would not exist without you as the observer. So that's like fundamental projection. The cloud is in your mind. Your mind is creating that cloud. The world is not out there. The world is in your mind. So it's projection, but it's happening on a subconscious level in a way we can't even fathom that. How do we do that? We've forgotten how we've done that. So we do it just by default. We project out, we see these things. Now we have physical senses that perceive the projections. See, it's ingenious. And the perceptions now reinforce that the projection is real, because the perception tells us, well, yes, you can see the cloud. Your eyes can't be lying, and you can hear and you can touch and taste and got all this going on. So it must be there. It's not in your mind, it's really out there. I mean, what a setup. Ingenious, cunning beyond belief to have created this projection perception mechanism. And then we've forgotten that it's all driven by belief, that what's driving the projections is our own beliefs. And we just at the effects now of things, with the effect of the world, it seems to be outside in our physical senses, rather than understanding that this is all driven by belief, and that our beliefs are primary, our beliefs are causative in this. We've projected our beliefs out, and then we've made them real, and then we perceive them to be real, which feeds back into the beliefs, and it strengthens the beliefs. And so projection and perception keep us on the wheel of time and space, just going along seemingly on the linear timeline through our lives, judging it all as real, when actually the belief that sponsored it all is false. This is what he's saying. The belief that created this illusion, that made up this illusion, to be more precise in course terminology, because you use create and make in very specific terms, creators of the spirit and God, and makers of the ego. So we made it up in order to perpetuate the belief that we are separate. That's the only purpose for the world. It's a veil of illusion. It's a cover over this pure formless awareness, which, to reference back to the Vipassana, I absolutely saw that on day 9 of my retreat. It was such a clear insight that I'm just absolutely seeing. I have this experience of pure formless awareness, just beautiful for, who knows, just a very short time, maybe 30 seconds, a minute. And then I come back into like some kind of thought. And the thought is, well, this is just what you've done, right? That you have this pure, pristine formless awareness, and you've covered it over with this projection. And the only purpose of this world is to cover over this awareness, and to be a justification for all kinds of thoughts and emotions that are not really serving you, that just cover this awareness. That's the only purpose for the world. Now you've got the justification in the seemingly physical world for these thoughts and emotions that are the ego, that cover over that pure formless awareness. And I really then was like, I understand why they call it a veil of illusion, because you've pulled that veil over. And now your pure formless awareness is obscured, and you have a justification for it, because there's a world that seems to justify these thoughts and emotions that are egoic. And it's ingenious. You just get it. You're like, oh my God, what a setup. What have I done? And I cried, because it was such an emotional experience to really see that I've done this. I wasn't blaming anyone else. It's like I did this to myself. But in that awareness, you can then go, but I don't have to keep doing it to myself. You see, that's the freedom. Forgiveness is saying, I can let this go, and I can free myself. I don't have to keep doing this once I see what I'm doing. And that's what this course is really designed to do us. Forgiveness is just the seeing that there is another way. And I don't have to keep believing the same things, keep projecting, keep perceiving the same things that just keep this self-sabotaging pattern going, that hurt me, that make me suffer. Ultimately, there is a way out, and the way out is through observing my thoughts. And then, Katie, as I said, another way is to observe emotion through sensation. So they can work hand in glove. There's absolutely no contradiction at all. They're just different methods of becoming aware of the ego, what's not helpful, and then letting it go. And ultimately, that's the same methodology. You're letting go. You're becoming aware and you're letting go. That's all it is. So that's why I said, it's the art of letting go, rather than the art of forgiveness, because forgiveness maybe makes it more about the course, but it's the letting go is what you need to do, and there's many ways of doing that, which is going to try and cover as many of them as possible in this course. Okay, so any thoughts or questions on this quote?
I would like to share something, because when I heard what you experienced at the Vipassana retreat, I got reminded of something I experienced today. So I keep it short. A friend, I was setting up to meet a friend, and he was it's I think it's a week ago, and he then said he can't meet me on the same day, and then I chose in my mind to be upset, like, oh, he's taking from me. Just the kind of, and is it not better?
You just jumped there. You stopped and then it jumped. Just said you're upset because your mind was, and then just continue on from
there. What was the last thing you heard?
It got a bit jumbled. It was I kind of got upset because he wasn't there, and then it got a bit scrambled.
Yeah, I was upset that he was not able to meet me, and then we meet some day later, and then I was just, in a subtle way, I was like mean, and then he grasped it because he's very kind of sensitive, and he was like, oh, don't be so mean, and I said, I'm sorry. And then later today, it was like I cried, and I wondered, why do I cry when I think about that situation? Like, I was like, because and then after I cried, I cried because I'm doing that to myself. Like, I'm not crying. I also don't want to be mean to him. I was like, I make I make myself to a smaller self, which I am not, and it creates the illusion of pain, and because of that, I can't see what I am really, and I felt so upset about it, and that's the reason why I cried. And now
it's a very similar experience. Like, how could I have done that? It's like, so, just the all of the pain and the suffering was that, it just self-created. And you're like, why? We've got this pure, formless, pristine awareness. It's so beautiful. It's perfect. I experienced it for that moment. It's like we could have that forever, without variation, with no change, just that. And yet we choose over and over. We choose the illusion. Why do we do that? It makes no sense at all. When you have pure, pristine, formless awareness, it's going to make you infinitely happy and joyful, and there's no opposite to it, and you can have that forever, for all eternity. And yet you want to choose the ego instead. It's crazy. It makes no sense at all, which is exactly what Jesus is telling us in this course. This is insane. There's no reason for it. So just recognize the insanity of it, and then you're halfway out of the insanity just by being aware of it, by being aware of the insanity. Okay, so any other thoughts on that quote? Otherwise, let's go into the actual. We did this yesterday. I'm just going to have a quick look, the introduction, just to see if anyone's got any questions. Sue and John, you missed this. So just any thoughts on the introduction? Have you read it yourself? Do you need to go through it again? Patricia, you also, I think you missed yesterday's session.
I've read that plenty times, Jonah.
Yeah, so you're comfortable. Sue and John, are you okay with it?
Well, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I think the only point he's making is, look, just do this. Just do this process, and you'll get the result. Don't question it. Don't judge it. just do the process, even if you've got resistance, do the exercises as you're instructed, and then this mind training is going to happen of itself, because that's the way it's designed it, which is quite reassuring. It's like a paint by numbers exercise, saying, look, just do this, follow my instructions, and you will get the benefits. You need not believe the ideas, you need not accept them, you need not even welcome. Some of them you may actively resist. None of this will matter or decrease their efficacy. But do not allow yourself to make exceptions in applying the ideas the workbook contains. And whatever your reactions to the ideas may be, use them. So use them as part of the practice then, with the idea. Nothing more than that is required. So very, very simple instructions. We just got to keep remembering that as we go through it, that, yeah, my job is just to do these and work with any resistance that comes up. If I have any thoughts, any emotions, just notice those and apply the idea to them. Okay, so I guess without further ado, let's dive into the lesson, shall we? Lesson 1, start at 365. So let's have a little read of it. It's quite a short one, so we'll just take turns, read a paragraph. We'll discuss it, and then we'll do some practice on it. There's actually not very much to discuss in this. It's just a very simple practice. But let's start off by reading it before we go into the meditation. So, Iona, do you want to kick it off?
Nothing I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place means anything.
Okay, so stop there. Nothing I see means anything. And just look around as you do this and go, okay. So if you repeat that to yourself as you look around, how does that affect your perception of everything? Nothing I see means anything. Wow. It's actually a mind-blowing statement, because we've given it a meaning, haven't we?
Yeah.
Everything has got a default meaning, and now he's saying, well, it actually doesn't mean anything. If that doesn't rock your world a bit, then you haven't understood the lesson, because that's what it's designed to do. And he goes, I love it. He goes straight in. It's like he's not starting with, any warm up. It's like, let's just go straight in. Nothing I see means anything. Okay. And he's working with the visual sense, because that's the most dominant in us. So, nothing I see, my sight is the one that's the dominant for most people, means anything. And actually, on a bigger scale, the seeing means perception. But you start to understand that as you get deeper into the course. Initially, he's actually just referring to your physical sight, because he's saying, okay, well, let's just start with baby steps here. Maybe nothing I perceive is a bit too much, so nothing I see in this room. But you can actually extend this lesson to nothing I perceive in this room. So that's anything my senses are telling me. Nothing my senses tell me means anything. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't cause you to just pause for thought a little bit, which is, of course, the whole idea. Starting to interrupt the pattern of the ego and really ask you to just look at it and say, okay, so what does that actually mean then? Oh, but it means nothing. Okay, so if it means nothing, then why am I giving it a meaning? And why am I having thoughts and emotions about it? And why am I creating a whole reality out of what has no meaning? And so, just a simple thought like this kicks off a whole process of unwinding the mind, doesn't it? It's like, okay, well, then why am I reacting emotionally if it doesn't mean anything? So he's going to first principles and saying, let's look at the meaning that you've given to everything, and let's undo it, because that's absolutely the core. See, it's not, you can't change your sense perceptions. Okay, these are kind of fixed. You're going to see, you're going to touch, taste. There seems to be an external world that's not really going to change very much, although that's also variable. Your senses, your perceptions can, the quality of them can change quite dramatically. But initially, it's like, okay, well, that's it. I'm seeing that object in the room, and it seems to be there. as my normal experience, except now I reinterpret it and I say, well, nothing I see means anything. And now I have a different experience because I've interpreted it differently. Because perception is primarily interpretive, as this quote says. It's primarily our interpretations. We make it true by our interpretations of what it is we are seeing. And those interpretations are what he's working with here. And the interpretation is meaning. So in these first few lessons, he goes on and on about meaning, because he's saying this is the key thing. You've given it meaning. The meaning gives it power in your mind. So let's start to take away the meaning, and these sense perceptions will stop having the power to control your thoughts and your beliefs and your emotions if you remove the meaning that you've given them. So hence, nothing I see means anything. Genius, really. It's so simple, but so like straight in there and so effective. Just amazing lesson to start with. Okay, someone else want to read paragraph, next paragraph, 1.1. Trisha?
Now look slowly around you and practice applying this idea very specifically to whatever you see. This table does not mean anything. This chair does not mean anything. This hand does not mean anything. This foot does not mean anything. This pen does not mean anything.
Yeah, so if you just do that for a few objects, or practice this in meditation, just do it for 30 seconds. Just look around and say, this cup, whatever you happen to see, this cup doesn't mean anything. This computer doesn't mean anything. This hand doesn't mean anything. Just do that for half a dozen things. And notice how you feel when you say that. And if you're aware, you'll see that something just changes, doesn't it, subtly in your perception, just by saying this. Something changes subtly, and there's a quietness. There's kind of an awareness and a quietness that arises just through saying these simple statements and being very specific. So he's asking us to start with the specific. Again, genius, because the abstract we're not abstract yet. Our minds are very specific. We think these things are real. So he's meeting us where we are. He's starting us where we are, and then he's taking us from where we are right into the truth that none of it really means anything. So any thoughts or comments on that experience? If you just did it for 30 seconds, how did you feel?
It's releasing, but then I looked at the cat and I said, this cat does not mean anything. And I went, but he's my beloved cat.
Yeah. Yes.
My beautiful Brody cat that I've cared for 16 years. How's that?
Yes. Yes. So like with things that there's an emotional meaning that you've given to them, then you'll find resistance to this. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, well, that doesn't mean anything, but he's my beloved cat. I love this cat. And so you notice that, and that's good. Just notice, okay, there's some kind of attachment there. So the truth is the cat is going to die at some point. And then the cat will not be there physically. And then if you're attached to the cat, then you will feel like you're missing the cat, because the cat has some emotional meaning to you. And that, of course, is how the ego works. Gets you to attach to the form, and then the form goes missing, because forms change all the time. And then you feel somehow less than. You feel not connected to love anymore. There's a sadness that arises because something's missing. But it's because you gave that a meaning to start with. Because you attached meaning to the cat, the form of the cat, you see. So when we say I love the cat, I love Brody. Do you really love the cat, or are you attached to the cat's presence in your life? The physical, like, okay, you can feel him and or her and touch, and and this cat is just like a comfort in your physical existence, and that's what you attach to.
Yeah.
To love the cat is a different thing entirely.
Form versus content.
Exactly. So the cat is you. If you could recognize that the cat, the very life essence that is the cat, the very essence of your cat is the essence of you, then there's no attachment to the form. Then
Excellent.
the cat is just a form, temporary form, and you recognize it's very temporary, of this life essence, which is you. And you can't lose that because you are it. And the cat is it. And when the cat's form has gone, the life essence doesn't go.
No.
The life essence is still there. It's in you. So the cat lives in you. In fact, every life lives in you, if you're aware of that. If you get attached to the form of it, then you're going to have the illusion that somehow you're going to lose all the time, because things change all the time. Forms are not stable, and no form lasts. So every form will die at some point, and then you will feel, if you left, you'll feel somehow separate and somehow less than, and that you've lost something. People say, oh, well, I lost my whatever, I lost my cat, or I lost my wife, I lost my parents, because they've died, they passed away. But just the language, I lost, oh my goodness. Now look at the definition there. There's a sense of an I, a separate self, that has actually lost something, and you're now in totally in the domain of the ego, because now you've lost something. There's a sense of sacrifice and a sense of being less than, and a sense of separation, because you can't lose in oneness. There's no loss in oneness. It's not possible. So yeah, as you can see, just applying the idea honestly to whatever you see can then trigger, like, oh, okay, there's a resistance here. All right, that's interesting. So work with that. And a lot of people actually stop at about lesson 1 of the course because they'll go, oh, that's just too much. Nothing I see means anything. My cat doesn't mean anything. No, that can't be right. You can't mean that. No, this work isn't for me. It's too much, because it's going to challenge every belief you have. You're saying that this course requires that you question every value that you have, which is not a trivial undertaking. And then as you practice these exercises, like you just did, you start to see that the exercises take you into that state of questioning, don't they? They're designed to do that. So it's just, you really got to surrender with this. Say, look, this teaching and this course is a masterpiece. It's created by a spiritual master who really understands, deeply understands the human condition. He understands the ego. He understands, therefore, the way out of the ego. And I don't really understand it, because I would have got out of this place long ago if I understood it. So I need to just surrender and humble myself and listen to, just do these teachings. Be like a kindergarten, nursery school kid who's just like, okay, I'm just going to listen to the teacher, because the teacher really knows what he's doing, and these exercises are there for my own good. They're for my benefit, to help me to undo these very fixed beliefs in this world. Okay, and then he's asking us to look further away. So let's ask John. John, just give him a nudge. Wake up in more senses than one. Then so if you want to read paragraph 2 for us, and as he reads that, just apply it to whatever is around you, as further away, as Jesus suggests.
Then look farther away from your immediate area and apply the idea to a wider range. That door does not mean anything. That body does not mean anything. That lamp does not mean anything. That sign does not mean anything. That shadow does not mean anything.
Yeah, so again, just observe as you did that, because we all have, you've probably got a door next to you, you've got a body, bodies in this room, seemingly, whatever it is, and just notice how you felt when you said that. It does create a sense of awareness, doesn't it? There's kind of a sense of some kind of open, expansive awareness when you say these things. It activates another state of mind, which is the experience that it's designed to activate, just through applying these thoughts.
What I'm actually finding is that it doesn't produce immediately a feeling of expansive open-mindedness. What it is what it's doing is saying, I'm reeling off all the thoughts I had about the plant and the history of getting the plant, of buying that particular thing, which at the time I thought was too expensive, you know, and that's actually making me laugh because everything in here is so loaded for me. It's very exhausting.
So you see how you've given meaning to everything.
Yeah.
And it's an emotional meaning. So that's an attachment.
Yes.
Right? You've given it the meaning, and that's the next lesson. I've given everything I see all the meaning it has for me.
Yeah.
And who's the me that's given it the meaning, you see?
Yeah.
And so now this is the way in to start observing your ego, because there's a little me that's given everything the meaning that it has for the little me. And that's a self-created, self-made identity, and then a perception that comes from that, and they reinforce each other. The more meaning I attach to the things in my life, the more I'm invested in the personal self, this little self that's Iona. No, this is very important to Iona. But am I Iona is the question, or am I something much greater than that personal me? And this is the start of questioning them, saying, okay, well, nothing I see means anything.
Yeah.
I've given it a meaning, and I can observe the attachment, and it's all emotionally loaded for me. I can observe that, but really, in truth, nothing I see means anything.
No.
And you can't really compromise on that. It either means something or it doesn't. This is the nature of the teaching. Either I give it a meaning. If I give it a meaning, then this statement is not true anymore. Nothing I see means anything. But if it's true, if it's absolutely true, then it must be true for everything. I can't really make exceptions and go, oh, well, that's got a meaning, but that doesn't have a meaning. And this is what we try and do. We go, well, I'm not really emotionally attached to that, whatever that object is in the room. So that doesn't have a meaning. I'm okay with that. But if I look at my cat, well, no, that does have a meaning. That definitely has and then you notice that you've got this subconscious meaning that you've attached to it, because there's thoughts come up. And so just observe that. This is observing thoughts and saying, okay, so what's coming up when you do these exercises? As he says, use your reactions. Whatever's coming up, notice it, use it, and then you can apply the lesson. Well, that doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. That reaction, that attachment doesn't mean anything. What I see doesn't mean anything. Then the reaction doesn't really mean anything. Any other thoughts to share? Anyone? Any experiences with that? No? Okay, so moving on to number 3 then. Yes?
Yeah, when I read that all this didn't mean anything, I asked myself, so what does mean anything when it's not the world? Like, the question brings up what is cause and effect, I thought about.
Yeah, well, that's the question. And then what you're starting to open your mind to is something beyond the senses and beyond the world, aren't you? Well, this doesn't mean, what I'm seeing doesn't mean anything. Maybe there's something beyond my physical sight. It means something. And this is part of the mantra, saying physical vision will never show you the truth. Your physical eyes will never see the truth. Only the spiritual vision that's going to reveal the truth to you. So these exercises are designed to undo the way you see now, as he states in the in the introduction. He says the first part of this workbook is undoing the way you see now, so that you can open yourself to true perception, and so that you can start to perceive truly, and that's in the second part. So this is very much about the undoing phase. You have to undo the meaning you've given everything if you're going to be open to the truth that lies beyond the physical world. Because as long as you give meaning to the physical, then that meaning usurps or covers over the true meaning, which is coming from God or love, pure formless awareness, which is that everything is one. Everything is one. This pristine, pure formless awareness, this love, this presence is you. It's your presence. It's totally you, and there's nothing else. That's the meaning of life. That's the meaning of existence. And the physical world and the senses, and it has no meaning because it's a denial of that. This is the teaching. It's a denial of the oneness. That's the only meaning that there is. Okay, so any other thoughts? Otherwise, let's go on to number 3. Katie, do you want to read that for us?
1.3.
Yes, 1.3, yeah.
Notice that these statements are not arranged in any order and make no allowance for difference in the kinds of things to which they are applied. That is the purpose of the exercise. The statement should merely be applied to anything you see. As you practice the idea for the day, use it totally indiscriminately. Do not attempt to apply it to everything you see, for these exercises should not become ritualistic. Only be sure that nothing you see is specially excluded. One thing is like another as far as the application of the idea is concerned. Why is he telling me to not attempt to apply it to everything okay, yeah. Or it will become ritualistic. Ritualistic.
Do you understand what that means?
Yeah, he wants me to do it consciously every time, like with this beginner mind, and not like, oh, I already know that this didn't mean anything, so I don't have to look on it again. Maybe I would then, when I do that, I block. Maybe I would have a greater experience of the truth of the thing I look at, but when I make it ritualistic, I can't.
He's asking us to be very random. So he repeats this over and over in his first few lessons. It's very random. It's very casual. He's saying whatever. It's like there's no like that or that. He's trying to get us to experience that it's all the same. Like it doesn't matter what we look at. Nothing I see means anything. So whatever you happen to look at, and don't attempt to control the process and go, well, it's everything. Because now there's an attempt to control, you see, the mind subtly coming in and saying, oh, well, I will control this exercise because I'm going to apply it to everything. And I'll do it very you say, no, it's just whatever. It's very casual. It's very random. Whatever you see, just apply it. Each practice here is going to be a bit different because you're going to apply it to different things. But in the end, it's all the same because you're recognizing that the statement is true no matter what you see. One thing is like another. So he's trying to get us into the sameness of perception, that everything's the same. You'll notice in all the meditations and the breath breaks, especially the meditations, when I come out, we do a version of this because it's like just look around and observe.
You mean number 4?
Yeah, sorry, number 4, yeah.
Each of the first 3 lessons should not be done more than twice a day each, preferably morning and evening, nor should they be attempted for more than a minute or so, unless that entails a sense of hurry. A comfortable sense of leisure is essential.
So he's emphasizing it's leisurely, it's casual, it's comfortable, and you don't feel like it's some kind of burden. So he's starting us off at a very kind of easy level to get into this, because he understands that if you haven't done the course before, then this is all going to be a bit unfamiliar and you might have resistance. So he's just saying, okay, well, I'll make it really easy for you. Very easy, you can just do this. It's 2 minutes in a day. And that's where he's starting. Because if he hits you with a half-an-hour meditation up front, then maybe people might go, oh, I don't know about this. This is a bit too much work. So it's quite well designed, I think. Okay, so pretty simple, but a very profound lesson and exercise. Any questions on that? Or any further comments? No? Okay then, so shall we do a little bit of a meditation on it?
Yeah.
I'll guide you through that. So just making yourself comfortable. So sitting comfortably, feet shoulder width apart, or if you want to stand, that Katie, John actually stands up for the meditations. So you can certainly stand if that's helpful. So sitting or standing, shoulder width apart, keep your back reasonably straight. Cup your hands in your lap, or have your hands by your side if you're standing. And you're going to start off with a nice deep diaphragmatic breath. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises. So this is the power breath we've covered. And breathing in. To the lower stomach, clench the sphincter muscle as we lock the energy in. Second phase of the breath into the heart center. Feel this warm wave of energy rising up the spine into your heart center, and all the way up into the crown of your head. And just pausing at the top of the inhale. So it's a maximal inhale breath. Create some space, you create some awareness. Just observe any thoughts, any emotions, any sensations going on. And you want to just let them go. Whatever's clouding your mind, just cloud patterns. These are not your true thoughts, they're not really real. And so you're going to let them go with the breath as you exhale out through the mouth. Have a sense of just releasing them to the nothingness that they really are. All of those stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And so you empty. Just appreciate the emptiness. There's a stillness, there's a peace that arises there. And the gap between breaths, the little portal to pure formless awareness, to eternity. There's nothing else to do but appreciate. And then breathe in again. So noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Notice the subtle sensations of the breath in the nostrils, on the tip of the nose, and on the area just below your nose, between your nose and your upper lip. The subtle touch of the breath as you breathe in and you breathe out. So just observe that. It's just breath awareness. Observing. Without attachment, you just observe the sensations of the breath. You have a sense that the breath is just happening to you, through you, and for you. You don't have to do it. It's just happening for you. The breath is breathing you. And you, as the true awareness, can just observe that. Just observe that and be still. Through the breath, we come into the stillness that is the prerequisite for awareness of who we really are. And just observing the breath, get quieter and calmer. If you notice any thoughts arising, you just observe them casually and you release them with the breath as you exhale. Just let them drift away. They come and they go, they shift and they change. It's like the clouds. The clouds do not affect the reality of the eternal blue sky or the sun, which is the light that shines through. So in the same way, the cloud patterns of your thoughts do not affect the true awareness, pure formless awareness, which is the blue sky. The light of your source that illuminates it, that shines through. These are permanent, eternal. Another order of reality, way, way beyond the clouds that hang close to earth. And the sky is space, all of space, and illusory universe. But these things are pointers, because all of space, spacious awareness, pure formless awareness lies in your true awareness beyond the cloud patterns of your thoughts. So just observing the breath for a couple of minutes, and quieter, calmer, sinking deeper. Just through observing your breath, you sink deeper into your own true mind, the part of your mind that knows this pure formless awareness, that is this pure formless awareness. And just by observing the breath and focusing your attention on the breath, you let go of all the beliefs, the thoughts and the beliefs and emotions that cloud this awareness over and keep you in the cloud patterns and away from the blue sky and the light shines through it. So don't allow that, just breathe in and out through your nose, focus all the attention on the breath, have a sense of sinking inward, deeper and deeper with each breath into the blue sky of your pure formless awareness, your own true self. If you get even a glimpse of that, see that it's beautiful, peaceful, happy. And then just allow that experience to come. A great quote I shared earlier in the course, happiness is a butterfly, which when pursued is always elusive, but if you just sit quietly, it may come and alight upon you. And just sit quietly, let it alight upon you. So it's going to move into the second phase of this, which is observing sensation. Keep the breath flowing, just happening in the background. Breathing in and out through your nose. Keep some awareness on the sensations in the nostrils. Just happening there. It's going on in the background as the default base state. Foundation for this practice known as Vipassana, which is the body, scanning the body, just being aware of and observing the body's sensations. It happens within the space created by the awareness of breath. So the two work hand in glove. So I want you to start and just place your awareness in the crown of your head. Notice the feeling there, very top of the head. There's a little sensation maybe. A little tingling, feeling, whatever it is, just notice. So the key thing is just observe the sensations in the body. And let your awareness run down back of your head. Notice any sensations in the back of your head, through the front down through your forehead, your nose, your eyes, eyelids, your cheeks, your cheekbones, your nose. Okay, notice the breath just still happening. Subtle touch of the breath in the nostrils and the area just below your nose, between your nose and your upper lip. Notice that. Notice any sensations in your mouth. Maybe there's a taste, a dryness, saliva. Just notice whatever the sensation is without judging it. So if you notice a story developing and you create an interpretation of the sensation, then stop yourself and just return to scanning the body, just putting all your awareness onto whatever body part you're on. So observe the chin, observe your neck, front of your neck, the back of your neck. Observe if there's any tension there. And if there is, you can just observe. No judgment, just observe the sensation of it, whatever it is. Oh, there's a pressure, there's a tingling, there's an itching. Observe what's on the surface of the skin and also what's deeper. You might notice there's a subtle energy. It's deeper than skin deep. Observe that as well. It's time to get in touch and notice the very life essence that animates the body, which is not physical. So through the body, we go deeper into the mind and into the source of the mind. Observe what's happening in your neck and shoulders. If you're holding any tension there, you just breathe it out. Have a sense of just releasing, relaxing. Maybe you notice when you do that, all kinds of tingling sensations. Quite pleasant, just happen. Just observe. Observe your arms, your upper arms, your thighs, your biceps, your elbows, triceps, forearms, your wrists, your hands, and your fingers. Observing all these sensations. Dispassionately, objectively. Sensations in your hands, your fingers, and then run your awareness all the way back up from your hands and your fingers, through the palms, through the back of the hands, through the forearms, the wrists, the underside of the arm, through the elbow. Just observing whatever's going on there. So if there's any kind of gross sensation, that's what we might call a pain, then just observe what it feels like. Don't label it as a pain. Just observe sensation. Okay, so there's a tingling there, there's a heat, there's a pressure. And you just notice it, and then you move on. You notice it equanimously without judging, without interpreting. And then you move on. Back up to your neck, shoulders, upper back, chest. So you feel this life essence, this energy permeating through the entire body, from the back to the front, from the front to the back. You notice the sensations in the skin, but also the deeper sensations. There's a life essence, a kind of a tingling, flowing presence. Notice how it feels. And continue scanning downwards into middle back, into your solar plexus, your stomach, the lower back. Just feeling the sensations in your stomach. Just to feel soft and warm, comfortable, whatever it is. Maybe there's some butterflies, maybe there's some movement there. Just notice whatever the sensation is, objectively, dispassionately. Don't interpret it, label it, judge it. Just observe. And keep scanning your body, going down through the groin, through your buttocks. Noticing any sensations on the skin and deeper into the body, penetrating into the body, through the body, from one side of the body to the other. Scan. Thighs. Back of your thighs. Knees. Front of your knees, the back of your knees, down. And your awareness into your shins and your calves. Down through your ankles, to your feet, tops of your feet, the soles of your feet, tips of your toes. Notice the subtle life energy. There's a tingling. And then one breath, one long power breath, just sweep your awareness through your entire body. So from the tips of the toes, as you breathe in, just noticing subtle life energy in your feet, shins, calves, knees, upper thighs, back of your thighs, through your groin, your buttocks, lower back and stomach, nice and soft and warm, comforting into your heart center, the upper chest and upper back. Breathing again to top yourself out. Notice the sensations in your neck and your shoulders, flowing through your arms from the tips of your fingers, flowing upwards to the neck and the shoulders, into the face, back of your head, forehead, and up into the crown of your head. Another breath here. Just hold this power breath for a few moments and just zoom out and observe. Observe all the sensations in the body. Just be aware of your body as one whole perception. And there's a kind of holistic perception. Not scanning individually now, you're just holding it all in mind. Notice how peaceful that is. You don't interpret, don't label, and don't judge, then you can be very satisfying, kind of rise in your mind. And be there continuously. So exhale. And have a sense of just letting go. Again, as you exhale, sweep your awareness from the crown of your head all the way through your body on the duration of the breath, which extends in maybe 10 or 15 seconds. And scan all the way back down to the tips of your toes. Again, rest at the bottom of the exhale for a few seconds. Just rest in this awareness of observing the entire body. Observe the sensation of not breathing. What does that feel like? And instead of judging and going, this is unpleasant or can't stand this, you just observe, and maybe you notice that it can just stay there and you don't react to it for a while. And when you need to breathe, then naturally you breathe in again through the nose. So just sitting quietly, breathing in and out through the nostrils, and having a sense of observing your entire body, all the sensations, just sitting in one holistic perception. And you just rest here in this expanded awareness. Rest in God or pure formless awareness. Is all there really is for another couple of minutes of deep silence. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Just breathe, relax, and be still. Feel the breath and let the stillness arise and take you deeper into it. It reveals itself to you. You are it and it is you. Bring yourself over to this experience. The next 2 minutes of deep silence. If any thoughts arise, observe them very casually and just release them, letting them go like clouds just drifting by. They have no power to obscure the pure formless awareness, which is what you really are. So let them go with the breeze of your breath. Observe the breath, observe sensations in the body, and just let that take you inwards into the peace. Peace of God, it's been called. Peace of pure formless awareness that passes all understanding. For another minute of deep silence. And so gently coming back to awareness of the body and the breath, senses, and the world. On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Scan your mind, notice any thoughts, any emotions. Scan the body, notice any sensations in the body. And if there's anything there that's at all disturbing, just exhale. Have a sense of releasing. Letting it go to find this pure formless awareness. Cloudless sky, where these things simply don't exist. They don't matter. They don't mean anything. And notice the energy as you exhale. Sides back down from the crown of your head, down the front channel of your body, coming to rest in your lower stomach, your groin, in your buttocks. Notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling with your hands. Notice any sensation in the skin. The subtle flow of air on the skin. Notice that. Breathe in. Notice any smell in your nose, any taste in your mouth. And notice what you're hearing. Surrounding environment. Whatever the sounds are, they just arise. They come and they go, they rise and they pass away. So you don't attach any meaning to them. Perception is interpretive by nature. So it's the meaning that we give to things that is important to us. And so today's lesson is very appropriate to help us undo the meaning. Say to yourself, nothing I see means anything, and open your eyes on the count of 3. Look around and just practice today's lesson in this hopefully very calm, detached state you're in. You look around the room, you say, nothing I see in this room means anything. Apply the idea very specifically to whatever you see. So this table does not mean anything. This chair does not mean anything. This body does not mean anything. This sofa does not mean anything. This hand does not mean anything. Just randomly, whatever you happen to see, don't try and exclude anything. Don't try and include anything. Just it's a random, whatever your eyes happen to rest upon. Now just look further away from you. So you're looking to the edge of the room. Maybe there's a door. So say this door does not mean anything. That lamp does not mean anything. That wall does not mean anything. That book does not mean anything. That shadow, you see a shadow, does not mean anything. You're just applying these ideas totally indiscriminately. And just observe how you feel when you say this to yourself. Is there a sense of openness, a sense of spacious awareness? Does anything make you uncomfortable? You say a statement about something. For instance, I own a cat. That cat does not mean anything. And you notice that something comes up and there's a thought of, this is my beloved cat, and I really deeply care about him. Just observe that, okay, and apply the idea. But that thought does not mean anything. Because what I see doesn't mean anything. Then follows that the thought about what I see that doesn't mean anything also doesn't mean anything. And so through this observation of perception, we start correcting our thoughts. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. So we're going to continue on just with the fifth pathway. For those who want to, if you have to go, it's an hour and a half into the session, so I quite understand. But I do want to cover this fifth pathway because there's some good stuff in it. And it kind of relates to, actually, that's not going to work. Doesn't like that. So we'll just have to go there manually. So fifth pathway is on page starting on page 14 of your course manual. So let's just unmute everyone. Make sure everyone's still with us. So this is pretty short. It's just 3 paragraphs. So let's read it and have a quick discussion, and we'll close it out. So, Katie, would you like to?
Yeah, I would love to read it.
So this is part of, just so we clear on context, being here now. It's part of pathways 4 to 6, which is about coming into the present moment. So an interesting aspect 12 pathways is you can follow any one of them completely. On the deeper levels, you'll be using almost all of them because they systematically interlock and interweave. We talked about the tapestry the other day, yesterday I think it was tapestry, and this kind of weaves into this beautiful tapestry. They all interlock and they support each other. And these are particularly helpful, these pathways 4 to 6, in learning to live in the eternal now moment. That all of the pathways reprogram you to tune into the nowness of your life. Okay, so that's what these are about. So, Katie, if you can read for us, that would be great.
Yes. I take full responsibility here and now for everything I experience, for it is my own programming that creates my actions and also influences the reactions of people around me. Whenever you feel unhappy.
Stop. Yeah, pause. We just stop after every paragraph. So that's the key idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Unpack that a bit. So anything strike you there?
Yeah, it tells me that I'm not only responsible for my own programming, I'm also responsible for the reactions, like this non-dual, right, with non-duality, what Dr. Hulen does when he was doing forgiveness and healed the sick people in the psychiatric section. Like, I think he would say yes. He's not only responsible for his actions, he's also influencing the reactions of the people.
Because we're in a it's all mind. So, and if we're all one mind, and our mind influences everyone in the entire universe. But particularly if they in the physical location and we're interacting with them, we're having a relationship with them, we know them, then our thoughts and our emotions will influence them, because it's a field. We're all in that field, and you do feel that if you're in the presence of someone and there's something that's not right, you certainly feel that there's some kind of disturbance in the field. You're sensitive to it. So but then you take responsibility for it. It's my own programming that creates my actions and also influences the reactions of people around me. This is pointing us to the programming, which is the fundamental belief, the beliefs that drive our perceptions. Remember, projection creates perception, but what's underlying projection is belief. What led to the projection of the world outwards, and we went out of our minds, was a fundamental belief in our separation. We are separate individuals. So this is the programming we try to undo, that I'm a separate self. And that creates my actions and influences the reactions of people around me. And I must take responsibility for that, because it's my belief that created the whole thing. It made this up. I'm only here because I believed in separation. This is what this is pointing to at the deeper level. My own programming. I believe I'm a separate self. That is why I have this physical experience. And then if I interpret those experiences from the perspective of the separate self, then I'm going to be continuously reacting and judging, and that's going to influence the people around me. And now I create that reality of a conflicted, separated world where I feel separate, I feel alone, I feel rejected, because I'm perceiving it from the point of view of the separate self. As this connects quite nicely in with nothing I see means anything, because if I can undo all of my perceptions, then I'm undoing the programming. The meaning that I give these things is is a reflection of the programming. See? So again, this is a way in. It's a way to start looking. Because how do you get to your subconscious programming? If it's subconscious and you're unaware of it, then how do you undo it? And so again, she's a fantastic teacher saying, well, focus on perception then, because that perception will get you to go into your beliefs. You'll start to, your beliefs will reveal. In the same way as the Buddha said, observe sensation, and that's going to get you to see your emotions. See, so it's the starting point. It's like, okay, we've got to start you somewhere. And so that's what they do. And as you start to have more awareness, you start these underlying beliefs start to reveal themselves. So you might want to write this down. The process is observe sensation, observe thought, observe sensation, then observe emotion, observe thought, and then observe belief. It's kind of that sequence. To observe beliefs directly is difficult, but if you observe sensation, then you can observe emotions, then you can observe thoughts, then you're starting to get a picture of what your beliefs must be. So something triggers you and you observe, oh, there's a strong emotion there. I feel very attached. For instance, just using your cat situation, I feel quite attached to the cat, and there's a sensation there, there's an emotion, and then there's a thought. Oh, the thought is, but I really love my cat and I looked after my cat. And so now you observe that whole pattern, and in the observation of it, in the awareness of it, you start to recognize that maybe that's not you, because who's observing it then? Who's the observer that's able to just observe that and say, okay, well, that's just a thought, that's just an emotion, it's just a sensation. This doesn't define me. It's just passing through. It's coming into my mind, and I can observe it, and then I can just let it go. I don't have to attach to that and make it into a reality. So yeah, this feeds very nicely into all the work we're doing, these pathways, which is why I thought it's useful to do them. Okay, Iona, do you want to read the next paragraph?
Whenever you feel unhappy, your emotions are telling you that people and things are not fulfilling the addiction patterns you have programmed into your biocomputer. But you usually do not talk to yourself in this realistic way. Instead, you blame your unhappiness on somebody or something outside of you. When you take full responsibility here and now for all of your feelings and for everything that happens to you, you never again blame the people and situations in the world outside of you for any unhappy feelings that you have. You realize that it is an evasion to blame others. You've been doing it to yourself. You can stop being a mechanical, computer-like person who views himself as pushed around by the world when you realize that only you can push yourself. You begin to see the connection between your emotional programming and your suffering. You start doing something about it, which means reprogramming yourself.
So anything strike you there?
Well, I know that I'm kind of allergic now to when I hear the phrase, "You made me so unhappy," or "You made me do it." And it's bandied around so often. And it's always a reminder to me that nobody made me do or think anything. Actually, it was always me. Yeah. So it's a call to take responsibility again and again.
It's nothing truly makes you unhappy. It's your perception of it that makes you unhappy.
Yeah.
And some people say, well, that's, you know, if someone's like physically attacking you, or someone's hurting you, harming you. But then we have a beautiful example in the crucifixion of Jesus, because he went to like, okay, so you're doing the worst possible things to me on the physical level. It's about as bad as it gets, you know, being beaten and whipped and then crown of thorns and then nailed to a cross, and then, you know, you die this death suffocating your own body fluid. It's kind of, that's about as bad as it gets on the level of form. And yet he's like, it's still nothing, you see. So that's the lesson. So like the physical doesn't matter. It's a complete transcendent view, saying no one can make you unhappy, even if they are beating you, killing you, because your true self is beyond that. And that's a powerful, powerful message, transcendent message that he gave us through that. It was a demonstration. Look, even at the most extreme, people say, well, what about that? Well, what about that? Jesus did it. And he still says, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. He's still in the awareness that I am still my true awareness. I'm still connected to that. And they just don't know what they're doing. They've separated themselves from that. And they are actually hurting themselves by hurting me. And I actually have compassion for them, even while I'm nailed on the cross. And there's, you know, all of this so-called physical pain and suffering going on. My mind is still clear and in pure formless awareness. It's a pretty extraordinary demonstration at the extreme of this principle. So people say, well, it's not possible in certain instances. No, it's always possible. That was the message of the crucifixion. You can do this. Just will you do it? You know, or are you going to allow your programming into this biocomputer, which is our body, the attachment to it? Are you going to allow that to come in and cause you to then have a reaction? Go, oh, no, I'm going to make an exception to this one, because that's unacceptable. And you know, the training is no, it's all the same, right? It's all illusion. It doesn't matter what someone is doing. Most of us, fortunately, don't have to deal with that level of lesson. No one's attacking us physically and beating us and putting us on a cross and crucifying us. That doesn't really happen in this world anymore. But we might feel emotionally attacked. Someone you know, says something. Well, that's a very minor kind of, by comparison, that's a very minor thing to have to deal with. So the principle applies, you know, irrespective, physical, emotional, verbal, whatever the perception of attack is, and the reaction of whatever anger, resistance, frustration that comes, you just go, but I'm doing it to myself. It's my perception of this that's making me unhappy. Even if someone's physically attacking me, it doesn't mean I have to be unhappy. It doesn't mean you don't do anything about it. But in fact, in the martial arts, they say the true martial arts master is the one who's not angry. He might do something to defend himself because someone's attacking him, but he's not angry. He just is in his awareness, and he's like, okay, I'm just doing what I need to do. I'm not angry with these people. I'm just dealing with the situation on the level of form, but I'm remaining calm and centered, and that's really the key. Because as soon as you lose your cool and you get angry, then you've gone into the ego, and now all of those egoic emotions will get going, And even in a conflict situation, even if you had to fight, that wouldn't serve you. It's much better to be calm and clear and present than being angry. So like in every instance, basically, this does apply, even in the most extreme situations. Because the temptation is to want to make exceptions, isn't it? Well, what about that? What happens if someone's attacking me physically? Like, surely. And, no, the principle still applies. And if you could stay in your cool, calm, collected self, then you would be able to deal with that appropriately. So a good example, from the Bible is Jesus in the teaching in about the adulteress, where they brought the adulteress to him, and he's busy teaching outside the temple, and they say, this woman has sinned because she's been caught in the act of adultery, and God knows how they found her. But anyway, they caught her, and so the law of Moses says she should be stoned to death. What do you say, teacher? And they're trying to trick him, and he just remains. He could have freaked out and got really upset and said the wrong thing, and that could have actually been fatal for her and him. And he just stayed cool, very cool, calm, and collected, and simply says, well, he who has never sinned cast the first stone, and it just defuses the whole situation. So a great example of just being in your presence, knowing exactly what to say, and not reacting emotionally, and then the situation resolves. And so that's what we try to train ourselves to do. When the pressure's on, that's when you need this most, and that's when you shouldn't make exceptions. Jesus' principle. Okay, so any other thoughts or comments or questions on that paragraph? Doing it to ourselves. So we enslave ourselves into this victim. This is being the victim. And it's the lowest self-concept that you can go to. I, who am all powerful, my mind is all powerful, I'm pure formless awareness, infinite and eternal by nature, now identify myself as a victim of a world that I'm not in control of. And I feel very helpless and disempowered. I call that the helpless, innovated little life that we lead, because that's what we've put ourselves into. And that's just ridiculous. When you are infinite, eternal consciousness, to put yourself and identify yourself as a helpless, innovated little life, a victim in a body, is just an insane misperception of your identity. Okay, so next paragraph, Sue, will you read that for us kindly? If you're still there. I don't know, maybe Sue and John have gone to sleep. Katie, will you read it for us?
Do you mean me? I read?
Yeah, your mind creates your universe. That one.
Your mind creates the universe. Your perceptions are the picture you create from the energies you receive through your various senses from the people and things around you. Your perceptions are thus a joint phenomenon of the observer and the observed things. Like, I observe myself when I see the world, or what I think about me.
Exactly. The world is not external to me. And quantum, this is a quantum principle, quantum mechanics, the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, which is the most accepted interpretation. There's others, but this one says that there is no reality in the absence of observation. So that's a scientific, in quantum mechanics has been scientifically validated and proven over and over again through all the tests and experiments they've done. And so that's the interpretation of it. Well, there's no reality in the absence of observation. The observer and the observed thing are not separate. There is no independent, objective reality out there. You are projecting it and you're perceiving it simultaneously, and that's creating your reality. And that's a fundamentally very different worldview to the Newtonian worldview of, oh no, there's an objective reality out there which is external to me and it's independent to me and it can do things to me. Then I'm a victim because it can do things to me. It can hurt me. And it's not my fault. And this is the cry of the ego. It's not my fault. I didn't do it. And the truth is that you did do it. You did it all. Just on a level that we've forgotten. We set ourselves up for being, a victim of the world. That's the ego's program. To come in here, when my son was born, it was actually quite a difficult experience. It wasn't like, oh wow, this is amazing. Some people are like, oh, it's a new life, amazing. I'm going, oh my God, what's just happened here? This mind has just put itself in a body. And he's totally helpless. He's totally helpless, totally reliant on this external world. I could drop him on his head, and that would be the end of him. And what a position to put yourself in, that you come into a body and you're totally helpless. But that's what we do to ourselves. And it really struck me. It was like, whoa. And because it was like 42 years before I did this. I was in this position. I did this to myself. It was like it was a wake-up call. Because that's what we've done to ourselves by putting ourselves in a body. And now we've kind of grown up a bit, and we're adults, and we seem to have the ability to control our lives more. It seems like we're less of a victim of the world. But like, we still put ourselves into a very vulnerable position in a body, if you think about it. Because you could drive, you could go tomorrow and drive, and something could smash your body to pieces, or you could get a virus, or you could someone could attack you, or there's all this, like, in a body you're very vulnerable if you identify with. So that's the setup. And now that we've done this, the thing is, we've got to look at the beliefs that put us here, and then undo those beliefs, even while we're still operating in a body. And that's the tricky thing, because the body seems to have its reality, and the mind attached to the body seems to dictate certain perceptions of the world, which are victim perceptions. Oh no, actually, I am a victim, and I do need to do this. And then of course you will follow that program. And we see that in this whole COVID pandemic. It's just such interesting mind training, because you see how that absolutely plays out when in each individual's perception. They perceive it a certain way, and then they will take certain actions. They will have certain behaviors and actions according to those perceptions, which is a fundamental belief. And if you believe that you're a victim of the world, that you are separate and the world can do things to you, then you will likely go along with what you're told to do. And you'll just follow the program, and you'll take your vaccines, and you'll wear your mask, you'll do everything that authorities tell you, because you bought into that belief system. And what you see is, as you question that, and you come into awareness of who you really are, you can't believe that anymore. That's nonsensical. Because you recognize that I'm doing this to myself. So do I want to believe in this? Or am I willing to just go, no, actually, I just don't believe in this. It's not a belief system I share. If I don't believe in it, then why do I give it any power over me? It doesn't have any power to affect me, to influence me mentally, emotionally, physically. Like, why am I reacting to what I don't believe in? So this is where this takes you. It takes you into a much more empowered state. You're no longer the victim of this external world and authorities are telling you what to do. You become empowered, and this is why they don't want people to do this work, because if you do this work, you start to question it all and say, no, this isn't something that resonates with me. I can't follow this, and so I'm not just a puppet. I can't be controlled anymore. I don't know if you watched the David Icke video I sent this morning, but I thought it was really pertinent. It was actually sent by Richard. It's part of the group. He sent it to me. It's a spiritual teaching. Though he's talking about what's happening in the world, but that's just the tool for the spiritual teaching. That's the interesting thing. It's not just saying, oh well, there's this going on and dealing with it on a level of form. He's saying we need to change our perceptions of this and then change our beliefs. Okay, so those are just my thoughts on that. Any other thoughts or questions on paragraph 2? Perceptions of the picture you create. Energies, you receive through various senses. So the senses are not your perception. Senses are like the foundation, the ground of it, the base material, but then your perceptions come when you put belief into it. And you create a picture of it, and a story, and a meaning, and an interpretation, you see. And that's why Jesus starts off with meaning. Nothing I see means anything, because he's saying your interpretation creates your perception, and that is what locks you into the world and into your identity. So your perceptions are just a joint phenomenon of the observer and the observed things. It's your mind, your projection, and then the perception create the what we call our reality. Okay, so all good, I think. Happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we might have to go back to you, Iona. Because I don't know what happened to Sue and John. They're there, but maybe they're still asleep. I don't know. They haven't come back from the meditation. So that can happen. It can happen. It's been known to happen. So if you read the last paragraph.
You receive feedback from the people and things around you that continually modifies your processing of your incoming sensory data. Your predictions and expectations are thus self-fulfilling. Since your consciousness creates your universe, all you have to do is change your world. All you have to do to change your world is to change your consciousness. It's the only way to live in a beautiful, joyous world. Yeah, so if I was watching the news all the time and reading mainstream media and opening myself up to that, that would be the only feedback that I would get about the world and this so-called pandemic. It would modify my process of my incoming sensory data, my expectations. I would be, this would be a self-fulfilling prophecy if I chose to live this way. But my consciousness is different, and I knew from the get-go that this wasn't for me. It would never ever make sense in my universe. So that's what I created. Yeah. And
so then you choose. You choose.
Yes.
How you're going to perceive it. That's your only choice. You can't change the pandemic on the the global scale. That's that's happening out there. But you can change your perception of it, and that changes your world, because your world is your perception. So a lot of people go, oh, well, this idea that you can just think something and change the world is ridiculous, because look, there's these COVID pandemics, there's all this stuff that's going on out there, and you have very little effect on it. But your world is your perception of it. So you absolutely do change your world when you change your mind about the world.
Yes.
Your perception is your world. So it's how you perceive it that creates your so-called world.
Yeah. And with feedback from my family and some friends, I question, my God, do I have a right to live in a beautiful, joyous world that I've chosen? When and my sister can say, well, it's all right for you. You're living in a da, and I've got to do it this way, and I haven't got a choice. I thought, wow. Yeah.
But you do have a choice. Everyone has a choice. You still have the choice. They cannot take away your right to choose, because that's a fundamental God-given right. You can choose how you want to perceive anything.
Yeah.
And as David Icke said in the video, he said, doesn't matter what you tell me. You can threaten me, you can do whatever. I will not believe your story, because your story is false.
Very good. I'll watch that now.
Yeah, it's quite inspiring. He's actually, he can be quite, radical. I mean, we know where he comes from, but he's actually a spiritual teacher. He's a very, very good spiritual teacher. And he's using this pandemic as the mechanism of the teaching. He's saying it's not really about the pandemic. It's not really about fighting the authorities. It's actually about awakening to who you are. And you're going to use this pandemic and the authorities and all of this. You're going to use that as a tool for your awakening.
Definitely.
And I think he's actually matured a lot in his understanding. I think it's perfect that he's, like, compared with 20, 30 years ago. I think he's evolved to a point where he realized this is what it's about. It's about the spiritual awakening. And this is actually all perfect.
Yes,
because we we need the ego to show up like this for us on this global scale in the seemingly really unconscious, harsh, dominant, yes,
Yeah.
you will take the vaccine, you will do this, to really look at it and say, okay, this is what the ego is, and this isn't nice. This
Yeah.
is not something I want. This is not something I choose. And I don't want to live in a world that's dominated by this, that is governed by this thought system.
No.
So I'm choosing another way. And it gives us the chance to choose very consciously.
Good.
And then, if you choose differently, to maybe create a different world.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we, the people who are choosing differently, and there are many, millions and millions, choose, okay, well, we don't want to live that way. We're not going to play by those rules. Let's create an alternate reality.
Yeah.
Where we're not governed by these rules that everyone says, oh, well, you have to do this. No, I absolutely don't have to take a vaccine. And I will find a way to live outside of your rules. And that's kind of interesting. It's like, okay, well, this is now creating a better world, but you're doing it inside out. You're doing it from fundamental base. I've changed my mind about the world fundamentally. And now how does that look in form? How does that play out in form?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of interesting. Okay, well, let's see how that plays out in form. If I allow the Holy Spirit to use me and guide me, who knows what it can do through me? That now becomes what the Course calls your special function in the world, your higher purpose or your special function. Okay, so how does this play out through me? How can I be the change I want to see in the world? Inside out. I'm not trying to fix the world primarily. I'm changing my perception. I'm in this true belief. And now from that belief, inside out, internal to external, how does that now extend out from me into the world? Because it's an extension rather than a reaction that we want. How does that love, that presence, extend through me into the world to make a difference? And if you ask that question, then you will find your purpose, because you have a unique way of doing that, and it's appropriate for the time and the situation that we're in. The Holy Spirit's going to give you the guidance to go, okay, well, this is what you need to do. This is what Iona needs to do. This is what Katie needs to do. This is what Jono needs to do. And we all do our part, and then it weaves into this beautiful tapestry where it interlocks. And that's how the world changes. Just a few people starting some kind of different way, different movement, moving in a different way. That's how change happens. I think it was a lady called Margaret Mead who said, well, never doubt that a few conscious people can change the world. In fact, it's the only way the world has ever changed. Every revolution started with a few people going, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do to change it? And they get together, and when two or more join, then Jesus says, then I'm there, the Holy Spirit's there, and that has power. Look at just what Bill and Helen did, just a joining of minds, two people in a casual conversation one morning in New York City traffic, and that changes the world, massively, fundamentally, profoundly. So just those two people. So what is possible? Right. I think that's very interesting. I think it's a very interesting time to be alive. Instead of seeing the negative of it, say, this is what transformation is about. This is what my journey is for. This is why I came. Everything I've done has prepared me for this moment. So am I going to step up into that? Am I going to step up into that, or not? I want to just finish off with this quote from Winston Churchill. It's just a lovely quote. This is on my page, so let me just go down there. There we go. So to every man there comes in. You've been requested to be deleted. What? How did that happen? Oh dear. Okay, I know what it is. Okay. It's
history tapping you on the shoulder, isn't it?
Yeah. Sorry, I had a redirect on there, so it's redirected into a page that I deleted, which was silly, but the web page hasn't been deleted. So you go, oh God, what happened? So Winston Churchill. Let's just go. Winston Churchill on Churchill. finest, what was it? Finest hour. Finest hour quote. Let's see if it brings it up. No, it's not that one. It's another one. It's Winston, finest hour. So it's got tragedy in it. Let me just see if I can bring it up. Yeah. So there you go. Do you want to read that, Iona? It's a lovely quote.
Yeah. To every person there comes in their lifetime that special moment when you are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing unique to you and your talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds you unprepared or unqualified for work, which could have been your finest hour. Yeah, and of course, you know, that finest hour quote is forever associated with Winston Churchill, who was a very high esoteric thinker. You know,
yeah, I mean, and he did step up, and he went, okay, this is the time, you know, we're facing this darkness that seeks to control us, and he said, no, we will not give into it. Whereas, you know, there were people of lesser consciousness who were like, oh no, just give into this, you know, pander to the Nazis, do and he said, we will not, because we cannot accept that thought system. That is unacceptable.
Yeah.
And we stand and we will fight because we have to. There's no choice. I think that was the one war where you say, what choice did they have?
Yeah.
They tried appeasement, they tried forgiveness. You're dealing with a psychopath who you know wants to impose this really totally unconscious way of thought system on you, and you have to say, no, it's enough. We stand, and we will not give in.
Yes,
and so he galvanized the spirit of an entire nation, in fact the world, because Britain then led to say, okay, we will not give in to this. And I think honestly we are facing the same thing now in our time. It's just in a different form. It's not panzers coming across Europe to physically attack us, but it's the same thought system coming in this insidious way through these systems and vaccinations and so on. It's exactly the same consciousness. And I think we have to say that, do the same thing. You know, I will stand and I will not pander to this, because good and evil do not reconcile. You cannot reconcile the ego with the Holy Spirit. So I must stand in the truth. And if you look at every great spiritual teacher and master, they've done that. You know, they took a stand. They said, I will stand for the truth. And if that means I die, then so be it. You know, rather my body dies than that I compromise the truth. And I believe what is false. I cannot do that.
But Churchill also said that he had nothing to offer but blood, sweat, toil, and tears. That he was not offering any riches or, from the ego world. It was just something the world would have to go through.
And it's not always easy.
No.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the right thing to do. And at the end of it, you go, it was the right thing to do. And history showed that it was absolutely the right thing to do. Imagine if they'd just given in. They'd gone, okay, well, we'll make some kind of peace with Hitler and we'll let it. I mean, it just would have just.
Yeah.
Who knows? History would have taken a very different turn.
Yeah.
We might still be under Nazi control. You know, global kind of fascist control. Who knows?
Yes.
I mean, I suspect there probably would have been a revolution against it. But the thing is, they fought while they could. They had the ability, and they went, okay, we need to dig deep, and we need to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
And I think what actually won the war was that spirit. The British people were galvanized into a higher state of awareness and consciousness than they'd ever been, and they came together, and they said, okay, we will stand.
Yeah, it was extraordinary. Yeah.
Pretty extraordinary time. And I think we're going through that time again. I think 80 years later, it's a repeat, just in a different form. And we have to learn the lessons and go, no, You know, we must stand, and the answer is different answer. We can't fight physically against this. That's not going to work because there's no obvious enemy. But there are ways. You know, it's to find another way. We can create and find another system, another way of living consciously together that really just makes this old system irrelevant and redundant. You know, that's the purpose for me. That's like, wow, okay. And that is possible. All the tools are there, all the modalities, it's all there. It just needs to be brought into a system that is usable for people.
Yeah.
That you can go, okay, there's an alternative here. I don't have to buy into this other system. And there's another system that works better. And so that's what gets me up every day. It's like, okay, what can you do? How can the Spirit use you to do this work? And if we all ask that question, you know, surely we absolutely can find a better way. We absolutely can. I have no doubt. And that's very inspiring. It's like, no, we are not bound by this. In fact, we are being called to do it differently, to find another way.
Yeah.
And in the process to discover who we really are.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
I need to
In
go
doing
now.
this work, you then discover who you really are. You discover the true power and the magnificence of your spirit.
That's it. Jono, I'm going to go now. Thanks
Yes.
very much.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's
Thank
end the
you.
session. So thank you, everyone. Katie, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. So
Bye-bye.
namaste, and I will hopefully see you tonight or tomorrow. If you can join tonight at 6:30 your time, Iona, Katie, 7:30 your time.
Thanks.
But
We'll do the text tonight.
I have now a question, but it's not referring to what we read. So maybe you want to shut off the recording and then I can ask it. It's like it's off topic, kind of.
Okay. Is it useful for people or relevant, or is it personal? Or because I can stop the recording if you like. Oh, there we go. Okay, you've just come in on another. So, Katie, is it personal? Would you like me to stop the recording, or is it useful for people?
I think it is useful.
Okay, well then, if it's useful and you don't mind sharing it,
Yeah. Okay.
fire away. I said fire away. Ask the question.
Okay. I like. So you said the Vipassana practice is about watching the body sensations, watching breath, then watching body sensations, then watching emotion.
Yeah,
And
so it starts with breath, then sensation, and then through the sensation, you become aware of emotion, because any strong emotion leads to a sensation in the body. So that's how you become aware of emotion.
yeah, and I found when I concentrate on the heart center, I feel the I have the heartbeat. It's like I have there is sensation. I also, when I concentrate on the heartbeat, I also have breath in it. Like I have breath in it. I have sensation in it because of the movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You will. Yeah, you start to notice that these subtleties that you didn't notice. You start to notice the very subtle movements of breath, sensation in the body, little fluctuations as you come into sharper awareness.
And I wonder, when I'm like she was a psychiatrist and also in a course of Milkwood student, she told me that I have to, when I have thoughts I don't want to let go, to visualize, to send them into my heart center. And I like that practice, because then it was like, don't have to let it go. Actually, it is letting go because it's giving it to the heart center, but it's kind of, I'm tricking myself with that I don't let it go. I just bring it somewhere else. But when I'm there, it's like the place where I can't judge, and it's like kind of above the battleground when I'm there, because like there's always laughter in my heart, and when I'm listening to it, like you know, I think that more it's the place where I meet Holy Spirit. And I wonder, so if I can use concentrating on the heart center for watching the breath and sensations, how can I, what is with the emotions? I just thought maybe I can use the heart for combining all the three parts.
Well, heart is really about feeling, isn't it? So emotion, heart, we call it our heart. I'm feeling. It's getting into the feeling body rather than the thinking. So that's the Vipassana practice, getting into what you're feeling emotionally as a way in to start observing the ego and undoing it. Because emotion is a very powerful tool the ego has to, we have thoughts and we have then emotions kind of entrench those thoughts, and we feel these emotions strongly, and they seem to be powerful. They seem to grip us and force us to do certain things. So the Buddha understood, if you just observe the sensation and you're equanimous, you don't react to it, then you're undoing the emotions and you're undoing the beliefs that underlie the emotions. So then you're going into thought. In the end, it leads you to core beliefs. And now you've got the Course in Miracles practice, which is really about observing thoughts and changing your thoughts. And I think the two work really, really nicely together. If you use them, you're getting two ways of undoing the ego. So a suggestion, maybe you said, maybe you didn't want to do coaching until we've done exercise 5, which is at the end of, so that's not this Sunday, it's the next Sunday, we'll do exercise 5. So it's still 2 weeks. If you want to do just a Vipassana meditation in one-on-one where I guide you through it and talk a bit more about the principles, we could do that. So you actually get into I gave you a taste of it in this meditation, just observing breath, observing sensation. But we could do an hour of Vipassana. That might be something that works for you.
I can think about it because I feel like I thought about, I like to focus on the heart center, and it's like doing it already since some time, and that maybe I can use that as maybe that is the Vipassana practice for me, because that's where I like to have my focus all the time.
Yeah. So if you're doing it all the time, that's ultimately where you want to get to. Is like you're aware of sensation and emotion all the time. The meditation is just is a way to train your mind to do that. But up to you. It might be interesting to actually go into the practice and do it at a deeper level, because it certainly does enhance that awareness. There's no doubt. I've found since I've started doing it, it's like enhances awareness of body, of emotion. If something happens, then it's like trigger in through that's like the canary in the coal mine. Oh, okay, so I just noticed my breathing changed, can feel the sensation in the body. Okay, so now I'm observing, and then it goes, okay, well, watch that thought. That thought's not a good thought, because look at what's just happened because of the thought. And I think before it, I wasn't as aware of those sensations, and then how the thoughts led to sensations and emotions in the body. So think about it. You have 7 sessions, so you can use them as you want. I suggest once a week, because it's kind of just keeps you regular, but it's up to you.
Is there a book you can recommend on Vipassana? Maybe, I could read one, and then I have questions, and then it would kind of make sense to me to do a session with you about Vipassana when I have practices to it, and then feel some struggles to share it.
Actually, it's a good question. They had some books which they were on sale at after the course, but I didn't buy any of them, because I just thought, actually it's really not a theory, it's a practice. So in the end, I've done the 10 days. I know the practice quite well, and there were discourses on it. So I didn't feel the need to buy a book at that point. But There, I mean, there's a couple of you can see if you Google. I'll just share my screen again with you.
Yeah, I mean more a book about the practice, like practical.
Yeah.
So exercises.
So these discourse summaries. This guy S.N. Gunka, he's the teacher, and he gives these discourses in the Vipassana course. So that's a summary of it, and those discourses were quite good. I quite enjoyed them. Gave the theory behind Vipassana, what it does, how it works, some Buddhist teaching. So you could get the discourses, the discourse summaries. That might be a good idea. Meditation Now, that's also by him, Inner Peace to Inner Wisdom. I haven't read it, so I can't say exactly what's in it, but I have heard the discourses. So I heard them verbally, and so if it's a summary of them, that'll give you quite a good summary of what it is, and then we could discuss it. So I put in Vipassana book into Google, and it just came up. So I don't know about the others, but I do know I've listened to the discourses, and they were valuable and useful, and it was the kind of theoretical underpinning of Vipassana. So I'd go for that if you were going to go for one. Discourse summaries at Amazon. There you go. You can get it on Amazon.
I just read that Gary Knight was mentioning a pain forgiveness practice, and he said, so it goes like this. It's very short. Think about the painful area and remind yourself that pain, as well as your body itself, is a mental process. Pain is not a physical process. You're the one who's thinking this pain in your dream. It's not real pain, it's a dream of pain, and you're the dreamer. The pain in your mind, just like the entire dream, is in your mind, just like the entire dream. And if it's in your mind, you can change your mind about it. Then once you're very clear that it's a mental process, tell yourself the same thing the Course says, the guiltless mind cannot suffer. After a couple of minutes, when you're very clear about that, tell yourself, I'm innocent and God loves me unconditionally. All God wants to do is to take care of me forever, because God knows I'm just as innocent as God itself. Picture yourself joining with God and extending into infinity. You're unlimited, free of the body, and totally taken care of by God. Now visualize the beautiful, pristine white light of Holy Spirit coming to you and totally taken care of by God. Now visualize the beautiful, pristine white light of Holy Spirit coming to you and surrounding you. In a minute or two, the healing light is not only all around you, but it's also all the way through you. The love of Holy Spirit is absolving you of any unconscious guilt you may not be aware of, and you can have confidence you will be healed. You are not alone in this. Holy Spirit has found you innocent. Isn't that also Vipassana? Or is it something else like that?
Well, it's the same underlying teaching. I mean, that's why there's no contradiction between the fundamental the underpinnings, the philosophy that underpins Buddhism, because Vipassana is just the practice of original Buddhism. It's what the Buddha taught. There's no contradiction between that and what the Course in Miracles is saying. It's just let it all go and surrender to the love of God, and you are totally innocent. In the pure formless awareness that Vipassana is trying to take you into, the equanimity, that's where you find God. That's where you find your own true self, your pure formless awareness, and you realize that cannot suffer. That self just cannot suffer. You're beyond suffering and beyond pain, and so it's just a practice to help you to realize that experientially. So it's just techniques, it's methods, it's ways to learn this, to train your mind into this awareness. Because you can say this, that what Gary and I have said is absolutely true, but to actually live that is another matter entirely. To actually be in that state, you're enlightened if you really get that. So that's and that's practice. Practice will do that for you. So Vipassana is a deep practice. The idea is you do it 2 hours a day, and then you every now and then do these longer retreats. And it's the idea is to practice that mindset. So you go into the equanimity more and more, you become less and less reactive, and that corrects your mind, that heals your mind of the belief in the external world.
So that was called pain forgiveness practice. I could also do that for the next 6 weeks, and I mean it's Vipassana, and then I could look what changed.
Yeah, Yeah. No, it's just techniques. I try not to get attached to the technique and the dogma of it, and like, oh well, that's Vipassana and that's the Course in Miracles. Because the truth is, we're all studying the truth. You see, what we really after is truth, and truth is universal, as Jesus says. And there's many forms of it, but it's in the end leading to one universal experience. So I'm not attached to the, oh well, it has to be a Course in Miracles, or because now you're going into the mind and it's conceptual and it creates separation and differences. I'm only interested in what's useful. Okay, so what's helpful and what's useful? Is the Vipassana practice useful or not? And so I did it, and yeah, that's a useful tool, very useful. So incorporate it then. It's part of the art of letting go. Art of letting go is not secular. It's not Buddhist or Course in Miracles or Sufi, or it's letting go. That's what you're doing here. That's what we all have to do. So it transcends the any secular limitations. And if you find it helpful, then use it. In the end, we've got to find the tools that work for us. So I'm going to expose you to all of them. Say, well, you choose what's going to be helpful for you. If you find Vipassana helpful, then use it. I mean, I found it very, very helpful. It's taken my meditation practice to another level. And I think as a result of it, I don't need as much sleep, no doubt. I can do a 1 hour Vipassana meditation lying down, and I'm good to go for the whole night. Because it's like I've just got another level of energy. It's quite extraordinary. And actually, if you listen to what the Buddha did, he slept 3-4 hours a night. He didn't, because he was meditating, so he didn't need the conventional sleep. So that's what starts to happen. You're replacing sleep with another form of rest and energy that's deeper. So go with it, and I can only recommend it as a practice to help you. And it's not contradictory to the Course in any way. It really isn't.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, yeah. I mean, I got banned by an organization in the UK called the Miracles Network, because they said, oh no, you've done Vipassana now you can't teach a Course in Miracles. I'm going, what? That's just ridiculous. Like, I did it because I wanted to have the experience and expand my awareness and understand Buddhism at a deeper level. And it's a practice it was profound. I mean, I had very deep mystical experiences, and then they go, no, you shouldn't have done that. I'm like, okay, now you can't teach the Course because you're somehow impure. It's crazy. But this is the kind of thing that happens.
Everyone would be then impure. Everyone would be too impure for doing Course in Miracles.
Yeah, because we've all had influences from other parts. There's no doubt.
Yes.
So it's like, no. Well, you can only now the Course. I'm like, well, that's just so limiting. It really is. So, and what businesses are of yours anyway? But then they go, well, you can't teach to our network because we know you've done this. I'm going, sorry, that's just ridiculous. It's just separation. It's the secular, it's the conceptual mind coming in and saying, oh, no, it has to be now this form only. But Jesus even says, there are many forms of this curriculum, and they all lead to God in the end. So he even says in the preface, like, don't get attached to the form of it.
Yeah, I guess really about preferences, what works best. And for some people, they want to concentrate on one, some people are able, like you, to see the one truth in every teachings, and some people get disturbed, like then they get into too much details, like me, and then I want to, and like A Course in Miracles also has many different teachers, and all that's also too much for me. I need that kind of focus, because maybe my mind is more disturbed. I am also, when someone is telling me, I get so many ideas, and it's like I take everything like a sponge, and then I need some focus, and that's the way how I set a limit. Some people are more, maybe they are more grounded, and then they can have a focus even if they are if they read many books.
I mean, what should start to happen, most people, if you really start to immerse yourself in this, you're just multidimensional. You go, it's everywhere, the truth's everywhere. I get it. I deeply understand it. And so whatever I see in another path, another teaching, it's like, oh, okay, I absolutely get that. It just fits completely in. I understand it from the course framework. So the course is my framework. Because it's absolutely true, then whatever comes into that, if it's true, if it's an authentic teaching, it's like, yeah, okay, I absolutely see it. There's no contradiction. It resonates because truth is true. It doesn't contradict itself. And any contradictions, then, well, I'll see them and go, okay, well, that's maybe where because every spiritual path has its truth, and then it has illusions too. People weave their stuff in there.
Except of Jesus. Except of Jesus, because he was not a body when he come with the teaching, so it's coming from the spiritual truth.
Well, that is why I make the course my foundation, because it's like, this is absolute truth, and he does not compromise on that at all. He's not fudging it. He doesn't have a human ego. He's not trying to, you know what I mean? He's got out the matrix. So if I want to get out the matrix, then I should listen to someone who's got out. That would make sense, not someone who's still in it, who's maybe still struggling with their own ego stuff that's binding them here. So he's the ultimate teacher, and then that's the reference. And then another teaching comes in. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, if it resonates and it's not contradicting the course, then yeah, by all means. And what I try and focus on is the practice, because these practices, these tools are useful. You see, how do you do this? That's the question. How do you get in there and really undo the ego? That is the where the rubber meets the road. And so if you can do that with a practice like a Vipassana, it's helpful, then yeah, why not use it? You're not contradicting anything. It's just a technique. It's a way to forgive or to let go of the ego. And that's exactly what the course is teaching.
Yeah, I think after some time doing A Course in Miracles, the state of mind can be called Vipassana. Like, you see how things come and you know that they are not true, and then you forgive them.
Yeah.
And you see sensations, and you know, okay, I'm not a body, so I can let go of them.
Yeah. So the theory and the practice kind of work hand in glove. As you understand the theory more, you'll practice better, and the practice helps you to understand the theory experientially. Because in the practice you go, yeah, I can observe that I have a sensation, and that sensation is just a sensation. When I was doing their first hour of deep sitting, so they call it an hour of
that's the lesson. I'm not a body, I'm free.
Yeah. I just observed that, okay, I've got a pain in my hip, and I'm sitting here and I've got to sit for an hour and not move. And I just observed it. It's like, okay, it's just a sensation. That's all. There's like a kind of heat there. There's a pressure. If I label it as pain and then I become uncomfortable, what disturbs me is my perception of it, not the sensation itself. And that became very clear through that experience. I was like, oh, okay, I'm getting this. You know what I mean? You get it experientially. Because the theory is one thing, but to actually sit with the pain and you observe it and you don't react to it, now you're getting it experientially. You're learning really deeply. And it was a profound lesson. I was like, okay, now I get what this practice is about. In that session, I was like, okay, I get the essence of what they're teaching me. Because I just observed the pain. I didn't make it into pain. I observed sensation, and it was fine. I was okay with it. I was able to sit in a very, if I'd stressed about it, would have been a very uncomfortable hour, resisting the pain, but I just observed it. I went into the observer state. And I was like, okay, well, that's why can't I do that always? I don't have to react. When I got up, I could hardly walk. So it's like, okay, it needs to adjust a bit, but there was no permanent damage done. It was a very good mind training experience. And I wouldn't have had that unless I'd done the practice. You can't get that kind of experience from the theory alone. So that's why the Buddha taught Vipassana, because he's like, I can talk till the cows come home. I can give you the dogma and the theory, but you're not going to learn this until you practice. And that's why Buddhism took off, because he gave people a practice and he said, go do it. And then they did it and they got the benefits, and experientially they were like, wow, this is amazing, this works. And then they told their friends, and word of mouth, and it spread because it was grounded not in dogma but in a practice of the meditation. Okay, so should we leave it there for now? Thank you, Katie. I hope that was helpful. So think about what you want to do with your hours coaching this week, and if you have any thoughts this week, let me know. But do join us. You know, every session we're focusing on the course. We'll be talking workbook in the afternoon, text in the evening. So
Yeah, I will join the next on evening today.
okay, all right. See you in a few hours.
Bye bye.